Anya. I'll be hosting today's session, and we're just going to wait another minute or so, but thank you very much for coming to today's Ask Alumni Live Sourcing Arts Internships session as part of the internship series across the university. So I hope you are all keeping warm on this very Melbourne winter's day. We'll give it a few more 30 seconds, I think, and then we'll commence.
Hello, everyone.
So we have, thank you. This is, so we have Kun and we have Gabby with us. I think we shall commence. So yes, thank you for everyone who's just joined, and we will have more people joining us. But today I would like to do an acknowledgement of country. So the University of Melbourne acknowledges the traditional owners of the land. We recognise the unique place held by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, and we pay respect to elders past, present, and future, acknowledging the importance of Indigenous knowledge and the academy. So today we have the pleasure of Kun Zhang joining us and Gabby Cumbers. Both have completed an Executive Master of Arts. A little fact is, so did I, but much longer, much before they did. So I'm very curious to hear what their experience was. And without further ado, if you wouldn't mind, Kun, I'd like to start with you, just with a little bit of a background of what you studied, what your internship was, and what you're doing now.
Yeah, sounds good. Hi, everyone. So my name is Kun. So I did my master's at MBA from 2018 to 2019. So it is a 2 years program. And then in my last semester, I did my internship with Spark Strategy, which is a local consulting firm based in South Melbourne. So that went really well. I'll talk more about it in later. But after I graduated, I was staying here during the whole COVID period, and then I get a job in my previous companies doing finance, and then now I'm the program manager at a company called Internships. So I joined this company about 3 years ago, and then has been working here in Australia for about 5-6 years after the internship, after I graduated. And here I am today doing this section. We lovely to meet everyone.
Thank you very much. Gabby, a little bit about you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Gabby. So I studied at Uni Melbourne for 2 degrees. I did a Bachelor of Arts, graduated in 2020. So did a year of COVID there studying. And then went on to do the EMA over 2021 and 2022, doing an internship at the Shrine of Remembrance, which we'll get into a bit later. Post-graduation, I took about 6 months off studying, and I got a position with a graduate program with Coles. So working specifically in Coles Liquor, getting to work across a lot of different departments to try out different jobs further and see what really works to my strengths and where I want to end up.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I'll just let all the attendees know that if you have any questions, please do type them in the chat. There will be 10 minutes at the end to go through some of your questions. So if we could go back to Kun, how did you find your internship, and why did you find that Spark Strategy was where you wanted to intern?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it is a really challenging period and time for me because I have never worked in Australia. I'm not even a part-time job before I got into this internship. And then I remember in my last semester, I have to also need to like juggle around a lot of other commitment at school as well, make sure that I got all the credit I can graduate. And then attending the internship, I think I remember it's about 2 to 3 days per week by the time. It is a quite, challenging time for me, but I enjoy a lot. I think that I learned a lot out of this internship, and then because of this internship, I gained lots of skills. I understand that what kind of area that I need to improve myself to probably land a job in Australia. So that I think I get a lot out of that, and I learn a lot. Why I chose Spark Strategy was I was always interested in consultant, and that was a consultancy, local based, really focus on not-for-profit and other sector as well, consultancy. I think it aligns really well with my interest and also my career as well. So that's why I applied to the opportunity, and then I got the internship. So that is how I actually eventually landed an internship with them.
And how did you find Spark? Was it through the university or your own networks?
Yeah, it is through the university. I couldn't remember exactly which website or service, but I think it's under the employability service that run by Stop One. So they have some job posts available online, and I saw this one and applied to it, and then I got the opportunity.
Okay, excellent. And then you just let your internship coordinator know through your subject, and it was approved that way.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, excellent.
And then some interviews with the company as well. So before I get it confirmed, I apply for it, and then I send them my resume, and then I attend an interview, and then I got approved, I got selected, I got an offer. Then I go back to university and then let them know that, hey, I wanted to do this internship with this organization, and then I got approved by the university.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll get into the process of specifically what their hiring process was. But Gabby, did you have a similar experience in terms of finding your internship?
I had quite a different experience. For me, it was more like job hunting in a way, because I really wanted to work or do an internship with a cultural institution. And while the uni does have connections with quite a few institutions across Melbourne, there weren't really any availabilities coming up for an intern role when I was applying. So I just kind of reached out to a lot of different institutions like the Shrine, who luckily came back to me and were like, oh, we've not had an intern before, but we'd be interested in looking at it. And I really lent towards them because of my my Bachelor of Arts was a major in history. So I was like, well, this is right up my alley. Like, I love some history. And to get to work on a project with them sounded like a great opportunity to see if the sort of organizations like that were somewhere that actually fit with me as a worker. And then also just if I could see myself working in that sort of culture. Because I'd had prior job experience. So I'd experienced some small businesses, medium businesses, but more like corporate commercial. So getting to switch and see if an organisation like the Shrine, like the NGV, or some of those bigger Melbourne institutions fit for me. That's why I essentially went for the Shrine.
And how many days a week did you do it? I think it was 3 or 4 months.
Yes, it was 3 or 4 months. I did mine in the first semester of the year. So I was balancing 2 other subjects, a part-time job and internship. So I was going into the Shrine about 2 to 3 days a week. But my project had a bit of field work to it. So sometimes one day of those 3 days was actually out doing field work, gathering information for my project.
Okay, well, that's quite fun.
Yeah.
So I'll just let you know that my colleague has put in the University of Melbourne jobs board link into the chat if anybody would like to access that to look for any opportunities. But it sounds like, Kun, you approached a university affiliated organization, and then Gabby, you just did a bit of a cold call approach where you went with an area of interest, both great strategies. I actually did during my AMA, I did 2 internships, and I got permission from the uni to do that because it was just something that I was confused about. And fortunately, I was able to do that. So I did one with an organizational psych firm and then a HR company. And one was found through, I guess, like you, Gabby, just an interest connection. And then, like you, Kun, I went with one that the university provided as well. So great options. Can confirm that is a good strategy to continue with. Kun, if I could just ask, so when you were going through the process with Spark. How did they initially require you to apply? Were there any group interviews, and how was that process?
Yeah. I remember I saw the opportunity and then I applied it on the website from University of Melbourne. And then I think I somehow that got I found my supervisors on LinkedIn and then connect with her on LinkedIn as well. And then I remember I sent my resume to her. And then I think a few days later, I got an email back from her saying that I got selected for the interview. So I attended the interview with her, and then after the interview, a few days later, then she sent me an email saying that I got an offer. So that is pretty much how I got this opportunity.
So you actually found the person on LinkedIn of
Yeah,
your own doing, and you just persisted and just did it that way. Okay.
After I saw the job post on the website, I connect with because I went through the companies and then I saw that who was working there by that time, and I connect with my supervisor and talk to her a bit, and then a few days later I got an email back from her saying that I got an interview offer, and then that is how it started. But all begin from I saw the post on the website.
That's phenomenal. Okay, so that's another strategy that people can take on board. Do use LinkedIn. I will also say use Ask Alumni. So I am the program lead for the Ask Alumni Networking and Mentoring Program. So Kun and Gabby are both mentors on the Ask Alumni program. And if you are not on Ask Alumni, please join. And it's a little bit, it is a UniMelb LinkedIn essentially, where all the alum on there are from University of Melbourne. So use Ask Alumni, use LinkedIn if you do see a role that you're interested in. I think that's a fantastic point. Thank you very much, Kun. And Gabby, what was your process like? So you contacted the Shrine of Remembrance, and then where to from there?
So, well, even before that, had a lot of support from my supervisor and a couple of courses, I think, that were run through Stock One around building your resume and cover letter, to actually talk about yourself and ask for an internship. So I had those built up really well. And then I believe I actually I went through like the careers emails that are usually on like institutions' websites for careers, kind of approach it that way, but addressing everything I did the same LinkedIn research of who am I actually meant to be talking to here? So I was addressing and connecting to the right person at the Shrine, which I believe was Sue and another lady. I can't remember her name right now. So resume, cover letter were directed to them, and then they approached me back with interest, wanting to chat with me. It wasn't necessarily a formal interview. It was more they haven't had an intern before, so wanted to understand what I would be doing, what I could do for them, what they could provide for me, and make sure it was a right fit. And then from there, did the whole paperwork and getting it all signed off by my supervisor.
Okay. And we do promote the Careers and Employability team as being we can offer smart resumes, and there's virtual interview practice. Did either of you, I know, Gabby, you just mentioned that you did come to some of our sessions, but did either of you use any of the simulation software at the time, where you can practice, I guess, an interview or a CV check, or did you have any meetings with our careers advisors?
I remember I went to like Stop One to ask for some help on my resume. But I couldn't recall I was using any like other software and then trying to I think I did a mock interview with my roommate, but that's it.
Okay,
Nice.
excellent. I will provide some links at the end of this that does include that, and I'll just see whether there's been a chat inclusion. Yes, so if anybody would like to practice their aptitude and psych tests, there's also interview online simulator. We've got the links in the chat, and I will provide it at the end of the session and then also after the session. But Kun, what did you do? What was the day-to-day of your internship like?
Yeah. So it is an on-site internship because it happens all before the COVID. So I have to go to the office in South Melbourne every single day of my internship. And I walk in, it's quite like, so they have this work office, like a sh office space share with a few other companies as well. But everyone was really welcoming. And then they have the kitchen set up, they have the desk set up, everything. And then I basically turn up 9 o'clock and then I work on my project, which I have been assigned to by my supervisor at the time. And then I was trying to observe what is happening in the office because there was no private room at the time. So the whole office is like an open space where everyone can hear everyone's conversation. So that kind of vibes. So I was sitting on my desk, I was doing my tasks and then trying to observe whatever the conversation is happening at that time. And then lunchtime, I went out to have grab my own lunch, which I think after the internship, I realized that this might be a mistake because I can absolutely use this time to have a coffee catch up or have a lunch break with my colleagues to build up the connections, which I strongly recommend you to do if you're going to do an internship. But then I was so shy and I don't know how to have this like conversation with my colleagues. So I just went and I grabbed my own lunch and I came back and I sit on my desk and then do my internship, do my project, finish the stuff. And then I check in with my the supervisors, I think at least once a week, just to see what is the progress of my, work that I have been doing, etc. So that's pretty much how it looks like on my internship.
And then did you also complete the piece as part of the internship study during the internship or
Yes.
outside? Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. I remember we have to write, I think, a few assessmentship as well to submit that to university. Yeah, so I also did that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And Gabby, how was your day like at the Shrine of Remembrance?
Yeah, so I did my internship post-COVID, so a bit different. And also the nature of the project I was working on made my time also a bit different. So roughly 3 days a week, one day may have been field work. So my project was looking at the use of space in institutions like the Shrine, like the NGB, museums, sort of thing. So field work, scoping out other organisations, and then also time at the office, which is at the Shrine. They actually have the offices underneath it on the east and west end. So
Wow.
that was really awesome. Absolutely zero reception, but a great place to work because you're really in it. It's usually 1 to 2 days there, or I was welcome to work from home if I wanted as well. They were very flexible with that. So I usually may have split my week up, 1 day in the field, 1 day in the office, 1 day at home, or the next week might have been all in the office. It really depended on the week. But then I made sure to have catch-ups I kind of had two supervisors at the Shrine because it was split. The project I was working on affected both of their departments. So had catch-ups with them every 2 to 3 weeks. And then in the office where I worked, would be able to like hear about what everyone else is working on, which at that time, that office was focused on all the actual exhibitions within the Shrine. So restoration of pieces, collection of pieces, and then actually planning their exhibitions. It was awesome to hear about that as well. Yeah, so that's how my time was split.
That sounds quite fun, like a good balance.
Yeah.
And would you say that the internship helped you get the role that you're in now, and what transferable skills could have contributed?
It helped me put into practice some of the skills I'd already learned in the EMA, particularly like project management, stakeholder management, and then getting to practice those in a real world example. And then when I was applying for my current graduate program, I was able to lean back on my internship to be like, look, I have actually got experience managing a project. Here is an example of one. And that gives a lot of credibility when you're in an interview. So that, yeah, it really helped. And it helps me day to day as well now. I'm always doing projects.
Can you relate to that, Kun? Did you have the same experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way that I get benefit from this internship is because I'm coming from a different background. Like Before I did my master here, I've never been studying overseas. I was doing my bachelor or my school in China. All the work experience, all the culture that I received, everything is quite different here. So I think after the internship, I realized that what other skills are needed in Australia and how to blend into the working culture in Australia. I think that's the thing that made me realize, okay, so this is the things I need to focus on and improve myself. I do use some, for example, like, communication I learned from EMA into the internship. But I think that the thing that I get the most is I push myself, get exposed into this really, by the time, really uncomfortable environment to push myself and to grow, and then realize that what other skills are needed, and then I focus on that to continue improving myself, which actually helped me to get a job in the future.
Phenomenal. Thank you for sharing. And if you had advice for students that are in situations where they're currently thinking about an internship, what advice would you share with them?
I think I definitely recommend the internship, especially probably for people who are coming from a different background, like me, coming here as an international student to study. What I would recommend you to do is probably also, rather than the technical skills that you will be using at your internship, also maybe focus on other type of like soft skills. For example, like networking, communications, or just as a how to blend into the culture in Australia as employers. I think that will help us to, build up our confidence in the future and understand how workplace actually works in Australia. And then that will help you to apply for the job in the future if you want to stay in Australia after you graduate.
Thank you. What do you think, Gabby? What tips would you like to share?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of like everything you said, Kun. The soft skills are really important. You don't really understand how important they are until you're in a work environment. I guess my advice is you'll get out of it as much as you put in. I really went into it with the headspace of treating it like a job. So making sure I was talking to my supervisors and getting that experience of how to talk to leaders, and communicate with your colleagues, and kind of have that as a safe, supportive place to practice those things. And like practice networking. It's all things that will help you so much in the long run. And it's great that you have an opportunity to practice it in this environment before you're out in the world.
Thank you. Now, an important question is, I know I applied for probably 12 internships before I got one. How many did you each apply for before you got a yes?
I think I was really lucky. I think I applied for one and then I got this one.
Wow.
Yeah, that wasn't a real goal, but I think I was really lucky in that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I said around 8. It was about 8 to 10.
Okay. But you persisted. So that's something to remember. I think, Kun, you're very fortunate. So for everybody that is listening, just apply for, cast a wide net would be my advice. Don't hang your hat just on one, and have an open mind when you're applying, because you don't know what you're going to learn from each opportunity. But at this point, so we've got 5 minutes to go. So I'd like to go to the audience and see if there's any questions in the chat. Okay, so we have a question. I'm currently having a part-time job related to what I'm studying. I plan to take the internship capstone subject for my degree for the upcoming semester, and wonder if you know whether I can use my current work to satisfy the requirements of the internship capstone. Oh, that sounds like a question for your internship coordinator, I think, Mary. So I ended up getting hired. I can speak to this slightly, because I ended up getting hired by the HR company that I was interning at as a recruiter. So that was a possibility for me. And I think if you can frame it in a way that makes sense for your degree, then it's a possibility, but definitely take it to the internship coordinator. Any other questions that I've missed there? Don't be shy, folks. Just type it into the chat.
And I think while we're waiting, if I can allow to share a few more thoughts on how we can get the most out of this internship, is just like Gabrielle has said, that just you get out of on what you have, whatever that you have put in. I think when you walk into an internship, don't position yourself as an intern. Position yourself as a full-time employee working in that organization, because it will change your mindset that I probably need to take initiatives, right? I probably need to take responsibility on what I'm doing. And I think that employers really value that kind of like responsibilities or initiative, which I think will help you to build up or even maintain a network with your supervisor and the host company.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So there is a question. Did you use any UniMelb resources like the Careers Advisors, Interview Simulator, Smart Resume, or Ask Alumni to help you prepare for your application? We did touch on this briefly. So I think the response was that, yes, you both did engage with the careers team. Were there any particularly useful areas that you'd like to recommend to students?
I found talking with my internship supervisor really, really helpful. Like I had a lot of coffee catch-ups with her, just chatting through careers, life, because she's done it too. So that was really helpful. And I also did use the Smart Resume thing on the careers website to once over my resume, which was really handy.
Yeah, it's a great feature. Kun, please, yes.
I think, yeah, absolutely explore what kind of service Desktop One is providing and use those service. But I think right now there's lots of online AI tools that we can also explore and then help us to build up our resumes and then prepare us for the interview as well. So also maybe look up online and see what kind of AI software that can help us to build up the resumes.
Okay. And we have a question. So should we apply for internships through the university or seek one independently? From Maureen, and would you agree that both options are viable in this instance?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Both options.
Yeah. And we have one more I think we have time for. Is it better to apply for an internship earlier in your course, like first or second year, or is it better to rack up more experience and apply later on? What do you think?
I think the better that you can start preparing for your career, the better. But you also might want to have a bit of understanding of, for example, the skills that you need. Like I remember I was doing like communication course, I was doing like, accounting course to make sure that you have a bit of understanding in the business sense before you apply for the opportunities, so that you can actually utilize this experience to show it to the company that you're great at your job. But also, like I said, the earlier you start preparing, the better for your career. So probably in the middle of your own degree, I think probably it's a good time frame for you to actually think about applying for the internships.
Okay, there you go, guys.
Yeah.
So think early in the middle of your degree. You agree, Gabby?
Yeah, I agree. Like think early, start growing your network while you're learning the skills.
Hi, would you like to join this meeting now?
Sorry.
That's fine.
Computers. And then during that first year of your EMA, learning the different skills and seeing where your likes might lean, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, that you can take into an internship.
Thank you so much. So as we draw to a close, I'll just do a quick zip through of hopefully my PowerPoint would like to continue. So we've gone through the questions. So there's more from the internship and job series, which ends tomorrow. So if you'd like to attend the How to Stand Out in Internship Interviews, please use this QR code to find out more. Or if you'd like a mock assessment center, which is a group interview process, then that is happening after the presentation on how to stand out in internship interviews. So you've got these two left tomorrow for all the attendees that are online now. Check them out. Please use this QR code. I will also send this information through to you. I will email it through. And then these are all the careers and employability resources. We've got my program, Ask Alumni. Please scan to join. It's not very It won't take you very long. It is like a University of Melbourne LinkedIn. We have the Employ Me, Smart Resume, Careers Online, Careers LMS communities. Please check this QR code. And again, I will be sending this through. And then we have the career advice appointments. So you can just drop in. You can have a one-on-one careers appointment, submit a careers question. And also the QR code is there. I'll give you 1 second to scan it, but I will be sharing it as well. And then here we are, we've come to the end. Thank you so much for everybody that joined. And thank you very, very much for Gabby and Kun for taking time out of their busy schedules to share your wisdom and insights. It's been a pleasure.
Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to share any suggestions from my journey with all the EMA fellows.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, great.
That you're both alumni on Ask Alumni that students can connect with. So I will share that information as well. And thank you very much for today's session. Everybody, thank you for joining, and please keep warm.